Welcome back to Shoot the Shot, a brand new NBA and variety show. It is August 26, 2021. Jonathan Osborne here. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Luke Sylvia. Luke, what's going on?
I'm great, man. There's a lot, not so much, kind of slow in the NBA, it felt like this week. So not much. My eyes are fully set on college football starting this weekend. It is week 0 in the NCAA, so I'm pretty pumped.
Well, yeah, I think that we've now entered like the dog days of summer as it pertains to the NBA season. I mean, we really just have 6 weeks or so until like training camp and preseason is going to be gearing up and everything like that. So yeah, we're going to be kind of hurting for content the next few weeks. But with the last couple of seasons, as the NBA calendar tries to get back on track, season ends, and then it just seems in a matter of time the season is starting back up again. So if you guys haven't heard the podcast that we released last Monday, I think it was, with George Karl. Yes, George Karl, the 6th winningest coach in NBA history. We interviewed him for the 6-Man show. If you guys want to go back in the podcast feed and check that out, that was a lot of fun. We talked about drinking beer with Coach Karl and playing golf and his Sacramento days and when he almost coached the Orlando Magic, maybe back in 2015. So that was a lot of fun. If you guys haven't checked that out, please go do so.
Yeah, so Jonathan, the first thing that I wanted to kind of jump into tonight was the NBA. We're getting closer to the season, so really the main NBA content that we're going to talk about is the over-under win totals that have been set out by odds makers. The one that we're going to be looking at here is betonline.ag. Have you looked at these at all in terms of kind of if there's anything that stands out to you on these over-unders? I know if you want to talk about the Magic, we can definitely do that. I know that their odds wasn't very many wins on the roster. I think they had them at like 23.5 over under.
Well, I meant to look at those odds. You were supposed to send me those odds. So I'm trying to pull them up right now on betonline.ag. So while we're going through this, if you want to go ahead and send those over to me, I'll take a look at those and see what we're looking at.
Yeah, so you got them there in the chat here.
Okay.
And you could take a look at them there, but I'll kind of tell you what sticks out to me as far as who I think should really blow by their total. I mean, if you're looking at, last year's wins, the ones that really stick out to me, Philly is one of them. Last year, Philly, 1 seed in the East, wins 49 games on a 72-game schedule, Jonathan. So their over-under is actually set at 51.5 this year. Obviously, the interesting thing is I'm sure they're factoring in Ben Simmons getting traded at some point. Doesn't seem like he's really going to play. What is that even going to turn into? So in that regard, I can see them hitting an under, but if Ben Simmons ends up having to play this season, I think that they could blow by 51.5 wins solely because in the 72-game season, they get that 49 wins. In an 82-game season, that's 10 more games. I think that they can hit that over, 51.5.
Yeah, obviously it's all going to come down to what happens with Ben Simmons, if he's moved, what kind of return. In the last couple of weeks or so, I've heard more of the Ben Simmons potentially in some type of trade for Damian Lillard, which I think would just be a home run trade, by the Philadelphia 76ers. I don't know how interested Portland is going to be in that, but I think even if they keep Ben Simmons or if they trade for Damian Lillard, I do think that's a pretty safe over. Really quickly looking at our Orlando Magic, over is 23.5 wins. Depending on I guess these odds are definitely going to change, but that's a team that I'm looking at in terms of betting the over on that, because I think we have a chance to be a little bit better than that. But yeah,
well, I think that you're with that odd. I mean, Vegas and the odds makers are absolutely saying that T. Ross and Gary Harris are getting traded. I think that's what that means. That they're really putting their money on T. Ross being traded. The team kind of taking everything out of contention when it comes to trade deadline, All-Star break, around those times. That's when maybe the team starts to say, you know what, I think we start to tank. Not necessarily tank specifically, but make moves that similar to, but not near as drastic as when Vucevic and Fournier and AG get traded at the deadline. I think that you look at that the Magic going downhill significantly, and who knows how many games. I mean, we on our 6-man show, the most recent episode we did, kind of went through the schedule. The schedule's pretty brutal. So there is a definite reality where the Magic win under 23 and a half. I just don't know. I mean, you think 23 is, not a lot, but the season starts going and you're like, I don't know if these guys are going to eclipse 20.
Well, another team that I'm looking at that I find pretty interesting. So looking at the Memphis Grizzlies. So right now their over is 41.5 wins. Last year, Memphis won 38 games in a 72-game season. Jaren Jackson Jr. basically didn't play the entire season. You're going to have another year, of Ja Morant and, guys like, I know they're talking about potentially moving like a Dylan Brooks, but you have him, you've got, Brandon Clark, Desmond Bain, like some of these young guys. And I think Memphis has a real opportunity to be better. If you look at a team like LA, the Clippers won 47 games last year. They're not going to have Kawhi Leonard next year. You look at the Denver Nuggets, who won 47 games last year. Right now, these odds that I'm looking at, Denver, their over is 47.5 wins. Without Jamal Murray for the entire season, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, I think another one that, so you mentioned Memphis, which if you kind of flip that on its head, the Cavaliers are one of the suitors, one of the people that are looking to, one of the teams that are looking to try to acquire Dylan Brooks. You look at last season, I mean, Cleveland wins 22 games, right? I mean, there was their over-under here. Their over-under is 26.5. If you acquire Dylan Brooks, do you think that Cleveland team becomes a team that wins more than 26 games?
Well, obviously it depends on what they're going to have to give up for Dylan Brooks. Like they've been talking, potentially they want to move Colin Sexton, maybe they want to move Kevin Love. If it's just adding Dylan Brooks to that young core and you're able to move on from like a Kevin Love, somebody like that, and you don't have to move on from Colin Sexton or Darius Garland, then I definitely think Cleveland can get over the 26.5 wins there. And then you look at like Brooklyn, over 55.5 wins. Like they have a really good opportunity to hit the over on that. Won 48 games last year. Obviously, James Harden missed time. Kyrie Irving missed significant time. Kevin Durant missed a ton of time. Like if those guys can get healthy, like those guys are winning 60 games falling out of bed.
Yeah. The other one that really stands out to me in terms of the over, though, is Phoenix. I mean, they're set at 51.5. Last year, they won 51 games in a 72-game season. I don't see why they can't win over 51.5. I mean, I don't. They're the same as the Sixers, and I think they're better than the Sixers. Obviously, they play in a deeper conference than the Sixers, so they're going to be playing more difficult teams. But it went at 51 last year. I don't see why they can't do that again this year. I know CP3's a year older, but is that really going to harm their chances of being able to get past that win total?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's probably a little bit of like the finals hangover. Just like Chris Paul ending the Western Conference Finals, starting the NBA Finals with just shooting the lights out of the ball. And then obviously, his inability, and maybe it was, whatever shoulder thing was going on with him, but his inability really to score efficiently throughout that series definitely came back to bite Phoenix. So I don't know if it's just that little bit of a hangover, or maybe it's, they made it to the NBA Finals. They won a ton of games last year, but we all know, like the Lakers, weren't healthy for a lot of stretches last year. And maybe, now people have, seen the tape on a full year of Phoenix being really, really good. Maybe they just don't believe that that's going to be able to happen again. Last team that I'm looking at that is a little surprising is Toronto Raptors. The over is 36.5 wins last year, obviously. 72-game season, won 27 games. They just traded for Precious Achiuwa and Goran Dragic in the Kyle Lowry deal. They've got Scotty Barnes, still got Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, Eric Boucher. Like that's a pretty deep young team. Obviously Nick Nurse, one of the best coaches in the league. They were, decimated by COVID and injuries last year. They've got our boy Kem Birch. They finished the season on like a 7-game losing streak. So looking at 36.5 wins, I definitely think Toronto has the ability to eclipse that. What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely say so in that regard. But I think there's a win total, Jonathan, that sticks out to me that I think I would I might honestly go, and I don't bet, but if I did, I would go out. I would.
Why are you lying?
I would go out and place a bet on the under on the Blazers. You look at the Blazers, man. I mean, under 47.5 wins. I don't think that that's going to would be hard to attain solely because of their new head coach. I don't think. I mean, Jason Kidd's got barely over that 500 mark. So
You talking about Portland? You mean Chauncey?
huh?
Portland Trailblazers? You mean Chauncey Billups?
Yes. Yeah. Wait. Hold on. Getting my coaches mixed up here, Jonathan.
Yeah, buddy.
Wait. Hold on.
Jason Kidd's coaching the Dallas Mavericks, Luke, this season.
Oh, you're right about
Chauncey
that.
Billups is, yeah, you forgot the whole fiasco with their GM and saying that they did this huge investigation into Chauncey Billups and then wouldn't talk about the investigation whatsoever.
Yeah. Well, that did happen. You're right.
Luke's been watching Naruto this week and has been in Little Weebland and just completely forgot about which coaches are where this season. So, folks, please apologize. Are we talking about Portland or are we talking about Dallas here?
We are talking about Portland. I do think that with Dame and kind of the whole thing there, does he want to leave? Does he not want to leave? I think his over-under should definitely hit the under on the 47.5 wins. I mean, last year they won 42. That's a Western Conference that really didn't get worse by any stretch. I don't see why they're not able to do it.
Portland didn't really get better this offseason.
No, they got more disgruntled, and that's it.
Yeah.
So I'm
taking the under on that.
Absolutely. Is there anything else on this over/under list, Jonathan, that sticks out to you, or
I mean, the Lakers sitting there at 52, which looking at the rest of this sheet, I think would be third in the league behind Brooklyn and then Milwaukee. Milwaukee at 54, I think that's a pretty safe bet. Like I don't really know what I would take there. But the Lakers at 52.5, I really don't know what I'm taking there, Luke, just because like stars are going to figure it out. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook, like those guys are still all stars. Carmelo Anthony is like a fading star. I don't even know if we can call him that at this point. But I really believe that those guys, if they want to win badly enough and they're all super smart basketball players, they'll find a way to make it work. But last year, looking at the Lakers, 42 wins, they're going to have to stay healthy. I'm really not convinced that Anthony Davis is going to be able to stay healthy for 82 games. I just don't know the last time that we saw that. The washed king, as they say, is he going to be able to bounce back from that ankle injury that he was dealing with really for half of the year last year? Father Time is undefeated. Like it comes for everybody. At some point, you just start to have these little ticky-tack injuries that doesn't allow you to get back to 100%. And if LeBron James isn't totally at 100% this season, if Anthony Davis isn't going to stay healthy, at times they might be looking at Russell Westbrook to, be their number one guy at times. And that's, as you've seen in the past, I don't think he's suited to be the number one guy, even in his prime. But 52 wins, I think I would probably take the under on that. I'd probably put their over-under at like 50 wins. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that it's hard to know with them. I think that the issue...
They could win 60 games this year, and I could look like a moron.
Right, exactly. But you don't know. Can Anthony Davis... There's too many question marks. Can Anthony Davis stay healthy? Is this team going to be cohesive? Like, will their team chemistry be good enough that they can string together, long amount of wins? I mean, let's not act like, I know the injuries played a huge role, but you also can't ignore it. Last year, played into the fact that they didn't win as many games as they should have with the talent that they had. And then they come in and they lose first round to the Phoenix Suns, who eventually would make the finals. But, I mean, they going into that series, everybody was thinking that, that the Lakers could win. I mean, very easily almost. So, I mean, even though it was a 2-7 matchup, I know me and you and other people that I've talked to going into that series were like, there's no reason the Lakers can't win. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think that's one where I would stay away from betting that at all. I don't think that there'd be anything good that could come from that because you really just you have no idea. You said Russell Westbrook. I wanted to ask you about this. Did you happen to see? I know it's your birthday today, Wednesday, as a record. So happy birthday, also, by the way. officially here.
Thank you.
Did you hear Oscar Robertson, what he said about Russell Westbrook and his triple doubles?
Yeah, do you have the quote here? Because I do want to get into it, but I would like to give Oscar like the full quote before we really start getting into this. So
yeah,
let's see.
Yeah, we can
have that.
We can pull it up here.
Yeah, it says he should have won MVP again if he averaged a triple double again, and he didn't. So why keep stats then? So obviously he's talking about a few years ago when Russell averaged a triple-double and won MVP. A lot of people will argue that James Harden should have won MVP. I think that was 2017. And, there's been some arguments about this over the, past few years. Obviously, averaging a triple-double is incredibly impressive. It's Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robertson. I'm pretty sure that's the only guys that have ever averaged a triple-double. And Russell Westbrook, I think by now he's like the all-time leader in triple-doubles. In NBA history. And he really just started going on this streak of triple doubles like the last, 4 or 5 years or whatever. It's not like he's always been doing this. So like the man's really been getting busy, multiple seasons averaging a triple double. But people have started to call into question like exactly how valuable is that? Like how valuable is it to go in, continue to win these, triple double awards and everything like that? If you look at Russell Westbrook and, especially his time in Oklahoma City and then, his time in Houston with James Harden, like Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, has never been suited to be the guy on a team. He's going to be, in the prime of his career, probably was good enough to be the second best player on a team. But if he's the guy that you're going to, like, every single possession, to get you a bucket, to make the right decisions, whatever the case is. Like when I look at Russell Westbrook and you look at his, 3-point percentage, Russell Westbrook it's not even arguable. He's the worst volume 3-point shooter in the history of the NBA. I said for years, if he can just take that part out of his game and maybe just, focus on getting to the rim a few more times a game, trying to get to the free throw line, it would increase his efficiency a little bit. Obviously, we know he's had one of the highest usage rates in the NBA over the past 4 or 5 years. I don't know. I think there's something to the argument that triple doubles are not that valuable. And when you talk about Russell Westbrook last year on a bad, not a great Wizards team, the MVP almost always goes to one of the best teams in the league. And if you're not on one of the best teams in the league, apart from 2017 when Russell Westbrook was not on one of the best teams in the league, again, that award should have went to James Harden, but people were just so enamored, by the triple-double and the fact that they were in playoff contention and everything like that, that it basically is like a narrative-based vote. Like we hear this every single year. Like last year, people were talking about, if LeBron James should be the MVP. Did he play at MVP levels last year in certain stretches? Definitely. But when you look at what some of the other guys are doing across the league, like Jokic, like absolutely deserved the MVP last year.
Yeah, for sure.
So we get caught up in these narratives all the time. So Oscar's asking, why are we looking at numbers? Like we don't always look at numbers. That's why Russell won the first MVP.
Yeah, no, I mean we don't look at numbers, and I can't help but like get irritated with Oscar Robertson for saying this because it's like I get it, like triple double brothers, they ride together. And he just wants him to win, another MVP, probably because Oscar feels he should have won more than one MVP. I don't know what the motive is. It just feels like Oscar Robertson is just like the biggest Russell Westbrook fan because of the triple-double commonality. And it's like at some point, Oscar, like, give it a rest, big guy. I don't think that it doesn't matter as much as you think it does. It's why you only won one MVP despite your triple-doubles and whatever, like. I mean, Russell Westbrook is just the new age of Oscar Robertson, and he's just seems to be a little irritated that Russell's not winning MVP still. It's like like you said, Jonathan. I think he was lucky to win that one. I think it was just a huge task, and everybody's enamored by it, and there was a narrative. MVP voting, I don't even want to get started. The MVP voting usually isn't right anyway. I don't think that truly the best player in the league ever wins that award, with obviously exceptions.
It's not ever. I mean, but if it was really the most valuable player, LeBron James would have like 10 MVPs. Like Michael Jordan would have like 10 MVPs.
Right.
Like it doesn't go to the actual most valuable player in the league every year.
Yeah,
Like
no, it
there's just
doesn't.
always some type of narrative. Like if a guy's playing really well, his team's really good, even if he's not technically the most valuable guy, like the narrative, like, oh, this guy has never won before. This team is playing really well this year. We want to give it to this guy now. So,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't want to start this like a LeBron James schmooze fest or whatever, but it's if you just go like year by year,
Yeah.
the best player in the league doesn't always win MVP. Like
No.
if we talk about like the first Steve Nash MVP, for a guy to average 15 points a game, I know he led the league in assists and everything, but for a guy to score 15 points per game and win the MVP, like that's crazy. And people have talked for years about like, how Kobe was robbed of MVPs by Steve Nash, winning the MVPs that he did. But like when you think about it, 15 points a game and winning an MVP, that is wild. Will never happen again. We were talking with Kevin earlier this week about how Ben Wallace, made, I think it was 4 All-Star games, never in his entire career averaged double-digit points.
Never.
That will never happen again. That, I think, if we talk about
and
a few years
inducted
ago,
into the Hall of Fame.
And inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, multiple, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA champion, crazy good rebounder. Like, there's the case to be made for him being in the Hall of Fame, right? But it's just crazy to hear that stat that he never scored double digits for his career and made, 4 All-Star games. I think a lot of that was part of the success that Detroit had. When we look back a few years ago, like when Kyle Korver and, Paul Millsap, all Jeff Teague, like all those guys, made the All-Star team or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever Atlanta's, I don't even know if it was Jeff Teague back then. Whatever their starting lineup was, and like 4 of the 5 starters made it, and then they got absolutely waxed in the playoffs. That's neither here nor there. But yeah, it just goes to show you that these types of awards don't always go to the best player. There's a lot of context that goes into this. There are things that are driven by narratives and by writers and by the media. But yeah, I mean, I'm not annoyed by Oscar Robertson. Like, I get it, but I just think people are starting to think differently. The more triple doubles that we see from Russell Westbrook, it's amazing. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, and I don't like to use the term empty stats, but I think people sort of understand now that the triple doubles don't exactly translate to wins.
All right, let's shift gears here, Jonathan. Let's talk a little bit about something that's near and dear to my heart, and that's college football. Coming up here in just a few days. Do you? I know, Jonathan. You don't really dabble in college football that much. You're a big UNC guy. You're looking up Sam Howell Heisman odds. I mean, you're big into that. But what I wanted to start doing is on this show every week now that college football is starting, and obviously once NFL gets kicked off underway, we can obviously go through those spreads as well. Is just give some betting picks for the weekend. Okay, I'm not going to do a ton of them. I'm not a professional bettor by any means. So guys, just because I say it, don't come at me. If you place the bet because I said it, just please don't do that. However, I feel pretty good.
This is not financial advice.
Exactly. And this weekend, though, there's a couple games. There's one that kicks off week 0, is what they call it, with college football. Nebraska is traveling to Illinois, and Nebraska is favored by 7. Nebraska is the same team who last year, Jonathan, got absolutely demolished by Illinois in Nebraska. Also, Illinois is returning their starters. Nebraska is not doing that, and it wouldn't matter to me if they did. So Nebraska being favored by 7 is kind of insane to me. So the first pick that we're going to put on the board here, Jonathan, and next week, in weeks to come, we'll look back and just see kind of what the record is, okay? For college, and then once you hop in on the NFL bets, especially, maybe you're feeling overzealous, and you want to get into college bets the more that we get into these. But my first pick of the 2 for this week is Illinois plus 7. It's a full touchdown. They're at home. I know they have a new head coach. I really don't care because just based on the game last year, as well as how many starters Illinois is bringing back, I don't think it's going to matter. So I'm locking in Illinois plus 7. Now, the next game that I wanted to talk about and the final picks here is UTEP versus New Mexico State. The games are thin, Jonathan. The games this weekend are very thin, and I had to reach deep down for this one. Okay, I'm going to take UTEP. UTEP is favored. The line is UTEP -10. I'm going to take UTEP -10. Solely.
Who are they playing?
New Mexico State.
Mm.
But I don't have any problem with it because New Mexico State played 2 games last year. They played 2 games last year because of COVID, and one of them was against Tarleton State. Who's Tarleton State, you ask? I have no idea. So as a result, I'm taking UTEP solely for the fact that there's no way New Mexico State is going to come out looking clean. There's a reason that UTEP is favored by double digits here. And also, I'm playing in the big theme this week is returning starters. UTEP is returning all 11 starters on offense. They averaged 5.2 yards per play last year, which isn't anything incredible. But against a team that only played 2 games, UTEP's no juggernaut. They're going to get smacked around this year by a lot of good teams. But I don't see, like, they're probably not even going to make a bowl game. But I just don't see them not being able to cover -10 against a team that's just not as good in New Mexico State and it isn't going to be fresh at all when it comes to that, Jonathan. So, what do you think? You think they're going to put any bets this weekend on college football based on what I just told you? Did I entice you at all?
No, I would never in my entire life, bet Illinois versus Nebraska or UTEP versus New Mexico. Like, that's just not really the way that I fly. There are just too many teams in college and too many games, and just weird things always happen in college sports. Like, I don't like betting like basketball just in general because literally like any given night, anything can happen. Mm-hmm. I would definitely never bet college basketball, and I don't know enough about college football to actually start putting money on things. Yep. When I look, however, at the odds to win the ACC, Clemson is -900, all right? Second behind Clemson is North Carolina at +700. Obviously, Clemson is one of the favorites to win the national championship. However, North Carolina is ranked 10th this season to start the season. They're going to start the season at Virginia Tech. They're going to have some marquee matchups. Obviously, they'll play currently ranked number 14 Miami this year. The following week, they'll be in Notre Dame. Notre Dame's currently ranked 10th. So North Carolina, maybe if they run the table, maybe they're able to play in the ACC championship game against Clemson. Maybe they upset Clemson. This is definitely not going to happen, but I would like to see it. The reason that I really don't pay a lot of attention to college football in previous years is because the college that I root for is North Carolina. Right. Now, up to the last handful of years, North Carolina is never good. Like, they'll have a 4 or 5 win season here or there. But, last couple of, years, Mac Brown, my boy Sam Howell, like you said, they're starting to gain some momentum. Mm-hmm. They are becoming, a better team in the ACC. I'm not saying they're Clemson. That would be silly. But I think it's at least going to be an interesting year for North Carolina. And maybe they're in the conversation in terms of like the ACC championship game going into the last few weeks of the season. In terms of the Heisman, I mean, Sam Howell there at +1,700. Let's see, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's the 6th guy, behind like guys like Rattler, and I'm not even going to pronounce the quarterback's name from Clemson. Sam Howell had a pretty good season last year. I'm hoping that he can step it up a little bit and maybe, be a Heisman finalist. That would be a win for me if he's even a finalist this year.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing I'll say real quick before we move on to something completely off topic and the only non-sports thing that we'll probably talk about this week, maybe, is the fact that Clemson starts their year off against Georgia week 1. So not this weekend, but next weekend, right? Clemson starts out. I was looking at this the other day. They start off against Georgia, and then they don't play a single ranked team as of now. There's nobody ranked yet the rest of the year. So, wow. Jonathan, what I'll say is, yes, they're going to have a lot of games to kind of refine their skills. They're going to beat up on Florida State. Sorry, Kevin.
Who is listening to while we record this, by the way.
Yeah, so I apologize,
We'll
Kevin.
Be lucky if he doesn't unmute his mic, coming off the top rope.
So Clemson doesn't play anybody ranked besides Georgia beginning of the year, which they're favored by 3 points, and who knows, I might have a spread that I lean next weekend. But, I mean, you're looking at a great possibility that you do see a North Carolina-Clemson ACC championship. and Clemson is going to be coming off of games that just aren't challenging at all for them. And you guys finished the year with NC State per usual, but in the middle of your schedule, man, you guys have Miami and Notre Dame back-to-back weeks there. So you guys are going to have some tests, and you're going to find out a lot about the UNC team. So I don't see why UNC, especially with Trevor Lawrence gone, can't keep it close, and ETN as well, running back. So that'll be interesting to see for sure. Now, I want to switch gears, Jonathan.
Go Heels.
To Mount Rushmores. Okay? This means, for those of you who aren't familiar, all right, with history, Mount Rushmore's 4. I want to talk fruit because I wanted to talk vegetables, but you just said like vegetables don't really get you going that way.
Let's start the conversation right here. All right, so before we started recording, you said you wanted to go over like a vegetable Mount Rushmore.
Right.
Like Luke gets into these like weird moods where like one night he has asparagus or Brussels sprouts and he's making Instagram stories and taking polls, and then for like the next 24 hours he's all hot in the pants about vegetables. And tonight he wants to talk about his vegetable Mount Rushmore, and we will get to that. Mm-hmm. This is what I want to say. I'm just never like, I don't crave vegetables. Like I told you, I don't ever wake up and I'm sitting at my desk working. I'm like, you know what, man? Tonight I gotta have some asparagus or tonight I gotta have some Brussels, and some balsamic vinaigrette or anything like that.
Talk to me.
My wife, oh boy, my wife starts telling me, oh, tonight I'm, gonna make a few steaks and gonna do some asparagus, and I'm like, oh, now we're talking. Like, all right, asparagus, I can do asparagus, especially the way my wife makes it. She does a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic, some shredded or grated Parmesan cheese, a little bit of that.
Love that.
Throws it in the oven. It comes out. The top is all crunchy. Like, forget about it.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not like a vegetable hater by any means. I just don't really get excited for vegetables. Like I told you, I have a sickness. Sometimes I wake up and it's 9:30, and I know that for lunch or maybe even for dinner that night, I know that I'm having Taco Bell. Like it's 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm thinking about quesadillas and cheesy gordita crunches. That's just the kind of guy that I am. So it's not that I don't like vegetables.
Yeah.
I don't get all hot and bothered by them.
Okay. All right. Well, not that anybody asked, but because I do get hot and bothered by vegetables, my Mount Rushmore firmly right now is Brussels sprouts, number 1. We've also got cauliflower on this list. We've got sweet potatoes.
Nope.
And we've got spinach rounding out the Mount Rushmore.
You don't even have asparagus on the top on the Rushmore?
Nah, it's probably, I haven't done my deep dive into my vegetables yet, but it's probably in the 6 range for me.
Now, how do you prefer your spinach to be prepared, by the way? Let me ask you that. Like, I'm a big, like, cream spinach guy.
Okay. No, so typically, I mean, honestly, it's easy in a skillet or pan, whatever you want to do, and you're just putting, like, minced garlic in there or any type of garlic in there. That's really all I need with, salt, pepper, that type of stuff, obviously.
So you like them sautéed, just cook them pretty quickly in the pan, a little bit of seasoning, maybe some oil, and you're good. And I'm good to go. And I do love spinach that way. The thing that I cannot get behind the cauliflower. I cannot support that. I just like, I've tried like cauliflower in like a few different it's a versatile broccoli, by the way. Yeah, like the cauliflower rice sucks. Okay. Like mashed cauliflower sucks. Like I don't appreciate the cauliflower. That's terrible. I can't do it. I don't mind cauliflower rice. It really wants to be broccoli, but it doesn't have like all the flavor that broccoli has. And broccoli doesn't have that much flavor, so you're not saying much. Oh boy. All right. Even though I appreciate broccoli, like it's fine. Is sweet potato in your like top 4? See, sweet potato, this is the thing. If I'm just going to sit down and like eat a potato or like a baked potato of any sort, like I'm going the normal like Idaho like russet potato. Like I'm getting the butter in there, sweet potato, the sour cream, like the bacon bits, the cheddar cheese. Like I'm going all in on that. No, this is what I will say I'm gonna give the sweet potato its due respect. I just like it in a little bit different of a setting. So when we start talking about like Thanksgiving must-haves, the candied yams. If there are not candied yams on the Thanksgiving table, I will not be there. I'll go down the street to the Jeffersons and have their candied yams. Like the candied yams, like the brown sugar, like the marshmallow, you got to burn the marshmallow on the top just a little bit. Right. And I'm in there like swimwear, my guy. Right. I just don't do the sweet potato just like for dinner, I guess you would say. Now, sweet potato fries, I'm all over that as well.
Yeah.
I just don't really do like the mashed or like baked sweet potato. I prefer like the traditional sweet potato or potato.
All right. You feel like you're eating dessert if you're eating a sweet potato and it's just like
typically, yeah. Yeah, I'm a bit of a degenerate when it comes to food. I could be a more healthy eater. I'll definitely say that, but you know, I'm alive and kicking. You know what I mean? So,
what's your number one? What's your number one fruit?
My number one fruit, I would probably say pineapple. I really like the last few years. Yeah. I've really started to enjoy pineapple more. Like, just so many different like pineapple juice. If you're putting that with maybe a little bit of Malibu, a little bit of coconut rum, a little here and there. You know what I mean? Obviously, drink responsibly, folks. But apart from that, like the pineapple we've talked about, you can put it on pizza. Which, if you don't agree with that, just shut the podcast off right now. I don't want you listening anyways. Put it on a burger.
Put it anywhere.
Grilled pineapple. My dad every year for Christmas does like a ham, and he'll do grilled pineapple and he'll put that around the ham.
Love that.
That's just absolutely fire.
Yeah.
Even just, you're going out to the beach, you're going to be hanging by the pool all day. You just grab some diced pineapple from the produce section at your Publix. Just do that. You do yourself a favor. You're welcome. Just a very like versatile, like refreshing fruit. I love pineapple. Outside of that, I'm probably going watermelon. I love watermelon, like a nice cold sweet watermelon. Dude, come on. Like,
yeah.
It's pineapple, it's watermelon, and then it's everybody else. Like, forget about the grapes, the apples, the honeydew, the cantaloupe. Like, just give me the watermelon, give me the pineapple, and I'm straight.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on mango? Nice ripe mango.
All right, mango. Okay, mango deserves its place in the conversation, but I have noticed it's not as versatile. What I will say about mango is I do enjoy mango in like a nice salsa, like a pineapple mango salsa.
Oh, good night.
Throw some cilantro in there, a little bit of tomato, some fresh onion, and it's GG, as the boys would say.
Right.
But no, I do appreciate mango. There's a restaurant near my house. They classify it as like a Pacific Coastal Grill. I don't know what the heck that means. They have these pork plantain bites.
Yeah.
So it's the plátanos. I like them nice and sweet and ripe. Then it's the pulled pork. They drizzle a little bit of barbecue sauce on there. But then they have like almost like a mango salsa on that. And it just, oh, dude, it just sets it off. Oh, absolutely slaps.
Just slaps. So my Mount Rushmore, just to summarize here, is pineapple, peach, mango, and banana. Banana slides in there solely because of like if it's around the house and I just need to go, its convenience factor is underrated, I think. And don't even tell me that Apple would beat it because of convenience factor. Apples suck, okay? Apples are
depends.
They're mediocre. Exactly. It depends. Yeah. That's my point. Now, they're very mediocre.
You don't want to hear my take.
What is your take?
I'm a texture guy. I can't do bananas.
You don't like banana texture?
No. I do not like banana texture. What I will say is if banana is in anything else, I'll eat the crap out of it. Like, first of all, any type of, you give me like a banana Laffy Taffy, I'm not even chewing the Laffy Taffy. I'm just basically swallowing it. All right, I'm slamming that back. But like banana pudding, like banana bread, bananas. Oh, give me a break. Good night. Yeah, now we're talking. But yeah, I can't do the banana by itself. The only time I've ever been able to eat a banana, like just raw, just you're peeling it and throwing it back. I ran a 5K a few years ago. My legs, I thought they were gonna fall off. They were cramping that badly.
Cramps.
So I was
bananas.
like, I need that potassium. Ate the banana, I felt great, but other than that, I
bananas,
eat
man.
The banana.
I'm
doesn't
telling
taste
you,
bad. It's not the texture.
The convenience factor of a banana, the versatility of a banana, the cramp factor of a banana is got to be your Mount Rushmore. It has to be.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
It's a good flavor. Top tier flavor, but I cannot do the texture.
Okay. You got anything else from me? You playing any video games? Watching any shows? Anything that you're into right now still?
I'm playing the same video games. I've been going super ham on Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I saw a trailer this week for the Wukong game that's going to be coming out. I don't know if they have a release date on that, but it's made with the Unreal 5 engine. And the game just looks incredible. So if anyone doesn't know the story of Wukong, I think it's at least hundreds or if not thousands of years old. It's like a Chinese like mythological legend He's basically some type of like, monkey character is what he looks like. But if you're familiar at all with the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z series, like I know Luke is, or maybe are you familiar with Dragon Ball Z? I feel like you are.
I know Dragon Ball Z, and I know some things. I'm going to get into it. All right,
that's what you said. You're going to watch Dragon Ball Z after
that's next
after
on my
Naruto,
list.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll have a little quick sidebar on Naruto at the end here. So if you're not a nerd, like you'll have to turn the last couple of minutes off because like it's gonna get steamy in here.
We might have lost them at Fruit Mount Rushmore anyway.
Yeah,
so
probably
we're just
they're
gonna
probably
talk about
gone
whatever
anyway.
the heck
So we'll
we
just
want
keep
at this
talking about what
point.
we want to talk about.
Yes.
Exactly. So you don't know much about Goku, but supposedly the character of Goku from I almost said Final Fantasy from Dragon Ball Z is based around Wukong. Like Goku in the Dragon Ball series, he has like a staff that like extends that he can use to like fight bad guys and whatnot.
Yeah.
Goku has like a monkey tail. He rides on the Nimbus cloud. All of these things are taken from like the Legend of Wukong. But if you guys haven't watched that trailer yet, like would absolutely recommend going and watch that because I'm going to be playing the absolute crap out of that when it comes out. What about you?
So last week it was Halo because I had been playing Halo for probably the last month, honestly. Waiting on the new release. We talked about Halo Infinity coming out here, shortly. The beta's out right now. People who applied, basically, some are getting access. I haven't yet. One of my friends has, said it's really great, the Infinity gameplay. Regardless, the game I'm playing right now that I got back into, which I started playing when it first came out, is Apex Legends.
So my brother's a big Apex guy.
Yeah, and so Apex, for those of you who don't know, it's like, character, ultimate power based, every character's got their own abilities.
Or they call them legends, actually.
Right.
In Apex.
Yes,
but yeah.
exactly. Precisely. So I've been getting into that lately again. And it's trash if you play it with randoms, as is most multiplayer games. It's absolutely just dog water if you don't play with your friends. So I've been playing with my friends. We've been running trios on there, ranked trios, and kind of leveling up and all that stuff. I love the ranking systems in games, by the way. You start at like bronze 4 and you go to silver and platinum and all that stuff. So having a great time playing that. I might play after we get off this podcast. I have no idea, but I've been playing the last few nights pretty lengthy amount of time playing Apex. So I've been really enjoying Apex. Now, last thing I want to talk about, like you said, is Naruto.
Whoa. No.
Naruto.
No.
So in the show,
Naruto,
Jonathan, by the way,
Naruto.
they say Naruto like there's 2 R's in the middle, at least in the English, dubbed version.
No, they say Naruto. They don't say Naruto. It's
So,
Naruto.
Naruto.
If you want to get like real into this, it's Naruto Uzumaki.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
Like if we really want to get into the weeds here.
All right. So I'm just going to avoid saying the name of this show.
I want to know what made you, because you were so against it for so long. Anytime I would talk about it, you would just like roll your eyes. Even text messages. You didn't say I'm rolling my eyes, but I could feel you rolling your eyes.
I was absolutely rolling my eyes.
What made you get into it? And I'm not even going to give my takes on Naruto. I love the show, but I want to know why you decided to watch it, what you've enjoyed about it. Like, is your opinion different on it?
So, yes, my opinion is very different. I'm hooked on the show. I can't stop watching it, regardless. Jonathan loves what he's hearing right now. I had finished a show and just didn't have anything else going on. I think I had taken a nap earlier in the day or something on a weekend. I don't remember really. And that night just was like, I'm too wired. I'm not going to be able to go to sleep. So I texted you and I was like, hey, where can I watch the show? And you told me it's on Netflix. There's like 1,000 different versions, it looks like, on Netflix, by the way.
There's like a lot of movies, yeah.
And I know you talked about like, what is the one? Shippuden or something like that?
Shippuden. Yeah,
right.
That's going to be on Hulu.
Gotcha. Okay. So there's a lot of different things. A lot of things I don't know.
It's on Hulu until you get to the point where they don't have the English dubbed episodes anymore. Then you need a VPN. If you guys need a VPN, go to ExpressVPN/Drew, our good friend of the podcast, Drew Gooden. Use his code. But you literally need a VPN to change it to Canada so you can watch Naruto Shippuden on Netflix with the English dubs.
Interesting. So I just gave it a chance. I texted you. I was like, hey, send me that. Send me the filler guide because there's episodes that just don't matter. Right. I hit my first filler episode 26, I believe, and skipped right over it. because I could tell I forgot about the fillers, and then the episode started and I was like, this doesn't feel relevant. There's no way I'm not getting anywhere with the plot here. So I skipped it, and I started and finished the first episode of season 2 tonight, going through the Chunin exam. So it's heating up a little bit.
Oh, it's heating up, bro.
There's snakes eating people, and clone jutsu to get out of it. It's just like it's art is what it is, Jonathan. So
it really is, dude.
So yeah, I would recommend it if you guys are someone that hates on anime like me a week ago. I would heavily recommend you guys at least trying it out.
Just when you meet a character named Orochimaru, just get used to him. He's gonna be around a while.
Oh, Orochimaru, huh?
Yeah.
There's so many names, and they're all like...
No, it's a lot of names.
They're not
and
American.
Names that you're not used to pronouncing. It gets very confusing for a while. But
yeah.
you'll get the hang of it, and then you'll find your inner weeb, and you'll just find yourself like liking all these things about Japanese culture. And you're like, man, I just want to go to Tokyo and see what's going on there. You know what I mean? But no, I texted you, I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago or a few months ago. Someone I think you said was like criticizing Naruto.
Yeah,
and I was talking
the plot
about how
and
like
holes in it and stuff.
yeah, how season 5 is just some of the best television that I've ever seen, and you like kind of scoffed at that. I cannot wait for you to watch season 5. I just cannot wait. It's still like people have talked about how good Shippuden is and how good like the Pain arc is, and the Pain arc is incredible, but like the season 5 of Naruto, especially the second half of season 5, just had so many little plot twists that they did, and like so many things, and just like the story and everything. It's just such a great show. I'll stop right there.
You said character development is great in this show, and I can see that it does. It's already getting good here in season 2. So I'm pretty pumped to see kind of where it leads. Is there?
You're gonna hear people telling you that like their favorite characters are people that you absolutely hate right now. Like I know people that love Gaara as one of the characters, from the Saiyan village.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can you like Gaara? He's a POS. You will love Gaara.
Well, I said that to you about what, Sakura or whatever her name is.
Sakura. Yeah.
Yeah, her.
Yeah.
Well,
she will grow on you. It takes a long time, but she will grow on you.
Yeah, I just feel like she doesn't do anything right now, and she's somehow like here. She's just smart. But whatever.
Very smart.
Yeah, regardless. Anything else, Jonathan, you want to talk about here before? I said that we would record and it'd be like a 25-minute episode, and lo and behold, it's been 50 minutes. My wife's given up on me. She's doing dishes in the background. She usually tries to keep it down a little bit, but now she's just kind of like, your time's up. So that's where we're at, guys. So, all Jonathan, right. You have nothing else?
Nope. Guys, that's going to do it for us. Again, we'll be back each Thursday breaking down the NBA. And if you haven't noticed by now, whatever else we want, it's going to get pretty off the rails sometimes. But thank you guys so much for listening to Shoot the Shot. For Luke, this has been Jonathan. We will catch you guys next time. See ya.